Hi and welcome to the Azam Shop channel. I'm your host Mohammad Azam, presenting you another screencast. And in this screencast, we are going to learn about delegates, uh, categories, and a little bit about protocols. And all these things are very important part of the Objective-C language. So it's a good idea that you understand all of it. So let's actually focus on categories first. So if you are programming, you have been programming in C sharp. So you know what extension methods are, right? You have a class, let's say string in C sharp, and you want to extend it. You want to add some other functions to it, I mean the methods to it, so that you can utilize those methods in your own code. Then you basically extend them using extension methods. And the same concept is over here, and it's called categories. Okay, so what we are going to do is we are going to implement basically a category that will extend the NSString class. Okay, and we are going to add a method to the NSString class. It will be called isURL, and that will check that if the string is a URL or not. There, it doesn't really depend on the class name that I call it, but I usually like to call the extensions or the categories as the NSString plus utilities, so that you know it specifies as what it does. So it's a utility method that we're adding to NSString, and it will be kind of like extension method. That's why the plus sign. But you don't have to, you know, add a plus sign if you don't like it. So let's go ahead and say NSString, and the category name will be utilities. Okay, we can add a function over here, or I mean a method over here, and this can be is URL, right? And we can go in the extension, I mean the implementation file, change this also to NSString utilities, and now over here we can try to implement that method. Did I say void or did I say okay URL? Now we're not really going to implement this, but you can actually implement it yourself. We're just going to return whatever, yes. Okay, and if you do want to access the current string, the current instant, the current, you know, the string which has been extended, the value of the string, then you can simply say self, and that will refer to the string value. So if I have, let's say, if I'm saying I don't know, foo.isURL, then foo will become the self because this is what you're extending, right? Now if you want to use this, it's pretty easy. All you need to do is to add the header file, which in this case is NSString plus utilities, and you are all set to go. We can simply go over here and say, okay, we're declaring NSString. We're just going to say some data. We don't really know what data is it. And then if I want to call that method, you can say that isURL is available, and this is the method that we just implemented. This is the categories. Okay, the category. So that was the categories basically, which helps to extend an existing class. Quite useful when you have a class from basically a third party and you want to add members to it. Then you can extend them using the categories and, you know, add some members to it like that. Let's move to the delegates. And delegates are very important because it allows you to create, I mean there are multiple ways of creating a publisher subscriber model, but if you're passing between like a single nested hierarchy view, okay, then for that purpose you don't really have to use the NS notification center to pass the values. Of course, if you are very deep down into the hierarchy, then it might be a suitable you know, a suitable means to use the NS notification center. But if you just want to pass the data around, if you want to notify that something has happened and you want to notify the observers or subscribers, then you can achieve that by using delegates. Okay, so let's go ahead and create a delegate. Let's say that we want to create delegate, or we want to basically notify people for when the customer is inserted into the database. Okay, so we declare this by a protocol. Now protocol means that whatever you declare over here, other classes can conform to this protocol. Now protocol can have methods that are required, or they can be optional. Okay, and there are so many protocols that we have already seen. Like if you are working with the UI table view data source delegate, right? Then there are some methods that are required, and some methods like self or index and all that stuff, those are required, and the other there are also optional optional methods that you don't really want to implement or don't have to implement. Okay, so protocol, we are going to name it customer service delegate. Okay, so this will be our protocol. Oops. I'm missing something. Okay, so this is and then we move to the method. So the method will be, let's say, void did save customer, and we're just going to pass in the name of the customer instead of the whole customer. Okay. Of course, this will also have a method called, let's say, save customer, and this method belongs to the customer service. Okay. So we have declared over here a customer service delegate, and it has a method which is called did save customer. You can make it a required. Let's say if you say required. Okay. So any class that conforms to this delegate, then they have to implement, or they will get a compiler warning. If you don't have the required keyword, then they don't really have to implement, and you will get a warning instead of an error. Okay, so we have this, and property non-atomic retained. What we are going to say, we are going to say id, and then customer service delegate, and we are just going to say that this is a delegate. Okay, so this is how you declare the property for the delegate. This actually holds the delegate, and the good thing about this is that it means that you can pass any object, any class basically that adheres to or that conforms to the customer service delegate. Okay, let's go over here, and we are going to say synthesize delegate. I think we still need to implement the save customer. So here we go. So over here we can say like save the customer. Okay, so you just save the customer, and now you need to say self.delegate and call this function. Now what this will do is this will go ahead and it's going to fire the delegation. It's going to fire the event and going to check that whoever conforms to this delegate, and if they have a method name did save customer, fire that method. Okay, so right now we don't really have any class that conforms to it. So let's go back to the view controller, and what we are going to do is use that delegate by saying that, okay, here we go. So we have a customer service delegate. So let's actually build this app, and you can see that since we are that we are not using the required keyword in the delegate, we get a warning by the compiler instead of getting a compiler error. Okay, so now it's our job to implement this particular method of the delegate. So we are going to implement the method over here, and the method was what? Did save customer. Okay, so that is the method being fired, and we can go ahead and make sure that this is fired by just printing the name. Okay, now save customer, this particular save customer is fired whenever you press a save button. It has a little bit of interface, just a button, and when you press the button it will fire the save. So what we are going to do is we are going to create the customer service instance, and one important thing that you need to do is you need to tell the delegate that, hey, I'm kind of like raises, you need to raise your hand that, hey, I'm here, I'm subscribing to the delegate, I'm okay, and I have implemented that method, which is a did save customer. So whenever you save the customer and fire the did save customer event, or the delegate method, please notify me, right? So that's what we're saying over here. Customer service, save customer, and then you can fire anything. So I'm just going to pass in John Doe, okay, and let's run it. So this is our simple app. Where to go? Here we go. And as you can see, when we press insert customer, we are getting John Doe, kind of like displayed on the screen. And this is displayed because whenever you save the customer, which is this, the delegate actually fires the event or the method which says did save customer, and it's going to look and it's going to say, okay, I'm going to now fire the did save customer method to all the classes that conforms to the delegate, and I'm going to call the did save customer method, which is this one, and it calls basically it calls the method. In real world scenario, in practical scenario, this can be used in many places, because let's say that you have a table view and you have two screens. One, the table view actually shows you a list, and the other view is basically allowing you to add a new customer. So you add a new customer, okay, and you add the new customer, and then you return the customer to the list, to the previous view, which is a list, the UI table view, and you then add that customer into the array or into the collection which is bind to the list, and you will see that the list is automatically updated with a new customer. Okay, so that's pretty much it. I hope you like this screencast and learned about the protocols, the categories, and as well as delegates. Thank you very much.